The last team on our NFC West coverage is the Seattle Seahawks. And you would think a team that, I mean, you trade Russell Wilson, you load up on picks, you hope that they hit on everything. And I'd say the Seahawks did have a very good draft, headlined by Charles Cross in the first round, followed up by Boye Mafe and Kenneth Walker, the running back out of Michigan State. That's where I want to go first, gentlemen, because at first, when this pick was made on that Friday show, I was like, I don't get that pick and I don't like that pick. But then I thought about it, I slept on it, and thought about what everyone said, and I like that pick. I like that pick a lot for the Seattle Seahawks. But tell us why they should like. Tell us why Seahawks fans should be happy about this pick, Dylan.
Kenneth Walker's a beast. You saw him there in the little graphic there. He had his Michigan State little what is it? Look like Mountain Dew he's wearing. But no, I mean this guy's a beast. He's very, very good. I mean that guy's just got explosive go get it run kind of run, and he's all over the place. I mean, and it's this. I know you bring back Rashad Penny, right? That guy's injury prone. But it doesn't matter. Like, you still need other pieces. And Kenneth Walker's just an absolute beast. He's not an Alex Collins you throw in there. He's not a Kristen Michael or anyone else you've had in the past. He's not any of them. He's not a DJ Dallas. He's Kenneth damn Walker, all right? He's the third. And he's going to go out there and he's going to run the ball. And I think that's a heck of a pick for Seattle because, they've been big time on running the football throughout their whole entire time. And, you lose a Russell Wilson, you still have a Drew Lock, you're going to need a solid run game. You bring back Rashad Penny, who was fantastic down the stretch, leading rusher the last 3 weeks of the season, and then you get a nice, talented running back who had a solid workload in college, and those two can complement each other with two hammers. Not necessarily a hammer and a nail, throw two hammers in there and see what you got. Start smashing stuff.
I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
The entire time. I want to know he can say it.
I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but I'm going to translate. Kenneth Walker is really good.
Yeah,
yeah, that's basically what Dylan just said. 4.3 speed. Look, people are going to talk about his lack of production in college, but the difference is when he switched schools, his kind of the way he was used switched. He was at Wake Forest. He wasn't getting a lot of run, only averaged about 100 carries a year, ran for about 600 yards. He averaging 5.9 yards a carry during that time. And then he goes to a Michigan State, which is in the Big Ten, built off that running game, and he's highly, highly productive, almost 300 carries, had 1,600 plus yards and 18 touchdowns. And he added a little bit in the pass game, but not used so much as a passing down back. This is a guy that is going to be a workhorse in the NFL, and he doesn't have a lot of carries under his belt. He plays with good balance. He's not afraid of contact, but he can also, again, get to the next level and kind of finish runs and make those big plays. We talked about Rashad Penny. Injuries his entire career so far. Doubt he stays healthy. Only signed a 1-year deal. Chris Carson, his career's in jeopardy. There might be a problem with whether he could even play football again, and he's a free agent after next year. This is a guy they're building for the future. I think they made that clear when they traded Russell Wilson. They got young guys like Noah Fant and all those pieces they got in the draft. Kenneth Walker is going to be a staple in the Seattle offense as I see it moving towards the old Seattle offense of run first. And I think that was made perfectly clear by their first round pick in Charles Cross.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought up the Chris Carson thing. I mean, he might not play, God forbid, we wish him the best and hope he plays again, but Chris Carson, we may never see Chris Carson again, or you may only see him for half of a season and he's done. So you now bring in a Kenneth Walker, who you just said low miles on the tires, man. That's the biggest thing. Like, you're going to be able to use him as a workhorse back. And I'm not buying Rashad Penny. I'm not buying Rashad Penny as a stud. Okay, I know you are because of fantasy, but I'm not buying Rashad Penny to be the guy, the bell cow back in Seattle. Kenneth Walker can and I think will be that. Now you go to the back end of this draft here, and they select two wide receivers, Bo Melton and Tariq Young. And obviously these are shots in the dark here. It's a 7th round pick. You're not investing a whole lot in your wide receiver. I mean, it's a 7th round pick. It's a shot. I didn't grade that high. I wasn't a big fan of it. I mean, I guess it's a shot in the dark, but I was not that high, especially on Bo Melton. But AJ, when you look at your grades here, I see the high grade for Bo Melton. So what am I missing with old Bo from Rutgers?
you're missing all the tape that they didn't get to show you. Bo Melton was just honestly wasn't used because of the limited offensive role in college, but the 2020 season, if you look at Bo Melton, he had a lot of great games doing a lot of big things, and it carried on to when he was given the opportunities in 2021. He's a very fast guy, was the second fastest receiver in the combine, if I'm not mistaken, running a 4.3. He's got great hands. He's got great feet. I talked a lot about how Garrett Wilson likes to work the sidelines and toe tap the end zones. Bo Melton's the same kind of guy, maybe not to the extent of Garrett Wilson, obviously, talking about a 7th-round pick versus a 1st-round pick, but it has very good feet around the sidelines, keeps both feet in, is ready and NFL prepared. I don't think this is a guy who comes in and takes over DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett, but you remember when Doug Baldwin wasn't everything for them, but he was on the field catching passes. What's his name? Swain, same thought process. He's that guy that comes in and he'll give you 30, 40 snaps this first year, may have a game where he has 6 to 8 receptions for a touchdown or 2, and you're like, where the hell Bo Melton come from? And he'll go right back to the bench until another 3 weeks, but will work his way up into that top tier of receivers for Seattle. And like we were talking about, if Seattle, as we can see by their draft, really believe that Drew Lock is their guy, well, you go out and you get him weapons so he can be as successful as he possibly can. So to get him in the 7th round when a lot of people didn't know about him, part of the reason they were passing on him, I think they got good value on here. And if I'm completely wrong, so are the Seahawks, and it was just a 7th-round pick.
And it's bingo. That's the biggest thing. It's just a 7th-round pick, and that's I like it. I like it a lot. With the upside seems to be there for Bo Melton, and again, a 7th-round pick. You're not spending that much. Their second 7th-round pick. I mean, you're not investing that much. Where they did invest in, and I think this is going to be a good pick, and it seems like you do as well, Aaron. It's Kobe Bryant, the cornerback out of Cincinnati.
Kobe. And I'm not talking Los Angeles Lakers Kobe. I'm talking AJ's favorite college football team, Kobe Bryant. People forget. It's funny. People forget that this guy was actually voted best defensive back. Not Sauce Gardner. Kobe Bryant. He was voted. He won the award best defensive back in college football. So the Jim Thorpe Award winner in all of college football. And his counterpart went number 4 overall. This is a guy just has good movement, skills, his length and size. He was kind of a mentor for Sauce Gardner when they kind of came there. He can break on the ball, has excellent ball skills. He is a competitor. AJ likes to use the word, he likes to fight every play. This is the guy that has a short memory. He doesn't back down from anybody, and he is going to fight the receivers, literally. This is something. It's projects. This is when you draft late in drafts, you're looking for guys you can work with, maybe clean up some of their technique and get them better. He has trouble with flipping his hips and getting in and out of kind of those movements, slow out of breaks. Some of those quicker, twitchy receivers are going to get the best of him. But you can line this guy up in front of somebody and say, hey, I need you to win this one-on-one matchup. And he is going to win that matchup. So don't look for him to go tackle anybody. He's kind of lacks that physicality in the run game, especially when bigger blockers are coming at him. But if you want to put him on a receiver and say, go win that battle, he's going to take on that challenge. I think Seattle, for a long period of time since the Legion of Boom, has been looking for some corners that have the ability to play both man and zone coverage, but are going to have that dog mentality. And I think he's going to bring that to them. Look, him and Tariq Woolen, who I know AJ is going to get into, they got a chance by the end of the season to be starters. And that's not just blowing smoke. I'm dead ass serious about that. Outside of a Justin Coleman, Sidney Jones, Trey Brown, like these guys are not world beaters. If these guys come in and they start to apply some pressure, they have a chance to be starters before the season's even done. And they got 2 safeties along back there with them. So it makes it even that much better.
Yeah, you brought him up. Aaron goes and talks about my guy, Kobe Bryant. So I'm going to talk about his guy, Tariq Woolen. And honestly, the thing that makes me so excited about this pick of Tariq Woolen is the compliment to a Kobe Bryant. These are the type of guys, the prototypical cornerbacks that a Pete Carroll likes. Long, lengthy, big hands, great ball skills. We're talking about a Kobe Bryant who's 6'1" with 9 3/8 hands. And then we're talking about a Tariq Woolen who's 6'4" with 9 3/8 hands. This guy is rangy, and he has top-end blazing speed. He's always around the ball. He's always in his receiver's face, and he's one of the better cornerbacks. I mean, yeah, he played at UTSA. You can talk about the lack of competition and so on and so forth. But there's some guys, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that have that mentality, that want that challenge, that play with that chip. Yeah, I may play at UTSA, but every person that lines up against UTSA is going to feel the pain of a Tariq Woolen. And that's the mentality he plays with. And that's what they need to get back to in Seattle. They did this with a lot of their picks. You look at the Boye Mafe pick at the edge, he's got a mentality like that. Kenneth Walker in the offense, he's got a mentality like that. Kobe Bryant, we talked about. These are the type of guys that can come in for a rebuild. And if you want to start building this team from the defensive side of the ball because you have offenses on the weapons on the offense, I think they did a fantastic job starting with their secondary. That's a nice little squad back there. Quandre, Jamal, and then these two rookies coming in at cornerback, who I agree do have a solid chance to become starters.
Yeah, Woolen's very raw. Woolen's only been playing DB for 2 years. Like, people forget he's 6'4", played receiver. Talk about ball skills. You throw the ball up at him, that mentality clicks in like, I'm a receiver. I'm going to get that ball. I look for him to be able to, if he can grow. I mean, again, these are big ifs always. If he can learn the technique and he can grow, that could be a guy you end up looking at, Trayvon Diggs, with 10 interceptions in a year, and maybe he gets beat a little bit. But the fact of the matter is he's getting those sudden changes because he has such good ball skills. So I know we've only done a few divisions. Seattle had one of the most impressive drafts, and I think it went overshadowed because they traded Russell Wilson and they don't have the quarterback, so people aren't thinking much of them. I thought they had an amazing draft, and I wasn't a fan of the wide receivers just because Seattle, they never really use 3 wide receivers. Like AJ said, it's like Swaim every now and then. But for the most part, it's going to be DK and Lockett in the running game. But overall, outside of the wide receivers, I thought every pick was almost flawless. I thought they picked really, really well.
And they usually struggle in the draft. That's one area that they usually don't. They take a Rashad Penny. They take who is that? LJ Collier. Like, they take weird ass players and then they just see what happens. But this year, I agree 100%. They knocked it out of the park with their picks that they made this year. And I'm curious, do you think Woolen could potentially return punts?
I'm trying to think who does it now for them, like Swaim, huh? I think Freddie Swaim.
Yeah, Freddie Swaim
and DJ Dallas as of right now are those two guys that they have slotted there.
You know, I don't know.
He'd be a good gunner.
I'm not really sure. I'm trying to think if he did it at all in UTSA, but I'm not sure. I mean, again, UTSA was almost ranked in the top 25 at one point. I believe they were.
Yeah, they were.
So like, I know the program's small, but they got some recognition. He was part of that, and he's electric. I mean, you're talking about a 6'4" dude that can blaze 4.3 speed, and it would not shock me if they try to use him in some different ways. Maybe you may see him go on offense. You never know. Maybe they say, "Hey, we're going to send you back to your roots."
Here's your 3. Swing the draft out here.
6'4" guy. Get it.
I dropped. So when we were doing our mock drafts and stuff, I moved Woolen up a lot. But I did watch the combine, and I was on the phone with Vinny, I think, at the time, and Woolen was doing his drills, and I was like, oh boy, he needs some work. Like, his technical skills are something to be left to be desired. Like, he has some issues with getting in and out of breaks, flipping his hips, and all that stuff. But the raw potential is what I see. And if you get with the right system, the right coach, put him in the right situations, I think that's what you want to exploit. Hopefully Seattle can do that, so he can have some success.
You're going to learn in practice when you're going up against DK and Tyler Lockett all the time.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's a good matchup right there with DK, right? Yeah. That big body versus your big body, and you can go at it.
Yeah, exactly. Good fit. Let's see how the rest of this NFC West shook out in terms of overall GPA, and it looks like this. The Rams at 2.59, followed up by the San Francisco 49ers at 1.96. Yeah, that's how it ended up shaking out, gentlemen. That's just the way it is.
Worse than the Commanders.
But we were just that was worse
no,
than the Commanders.
It wasn't. I thought
1.98.
Oh, well, see, close.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So that's what happens when you draft a running back that you don't need with your second pick. We'll move on. I digress. But we were just talking about the Seattle Seahawks. They end up with the highest grade, and like you said, Aaron, they had the most. They had the most complete draft. They ended up making the right picks, even in the later rounds. You got a Bo Melton, who AJ you were just very high on, and then you got the Cardinals at a 2.6. I mean, those are good drafts for both those teams, in the Cardinals and the Rams. But at the end of the day, it's the Seattle Seahawks reigning supreme.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know that we've had a grade as high as the Seahawks so far. Maybe we had a 3.6 in one of them. Maybe the Jets, or I don't know. But Seattle, I was highly impressed with Seattle. And I'm not saying they're going to come and win the division now because they had what we call a good draft. But this is the step. Their next step is finding their quarterback, right? So they started to put some pieces in place. The DK Metcalf contract is going to be next. They'll start putting pieces in place and then building that foundation. So when they do go out and either draft a quarterback next year, a Bryce Young or, a CJ Stroud, if they can bring one of those guys in, then you're already set up for success with the foundation, and you don't have to worry about a young quarterback coming into some shit box of a roster. So like the Atlanta Falcons or one of those.
Linebackers. Hey, they got a lot of linebackers.
We'll get to the NFC South because I got a lot to say.
Good.
But that's what happens when you have your owner. You got good ownership. You got good management. Got a good coaching staff. That's what happens. So I think that's the way the Seattle Seahawks are rolling. It's a good start to their rebuild.